welcome back to my channel. My name is Katie, otherwise known as the Vintage Academic. I am a new junior transfer student at UC Berkeley studying anthropology and archaeology, and if you are new here, I make fun vlogs and informational videos about community college, the transfer process, and what life is like as a transfer student. So if you're interested in seeing more of that, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And today, I'm actually kind of nervous to film this video, and let me tell you why. So I put up a poll on my Instagram stories asking if you guys wanted me to talk about the new college admissions scandal. It was overwhelmingly yes, but then I got a little bit too busy to film the video, so I haven't had the chance to sit down and write a script. Now, this morning, another article came up talking about how the situation has worsened. When I saw that article, I decided, okay, maybe this is a sign to film this video. So I don't have a script. I'm mostly going off of my notes and my own thoughts and initial reactions, and I am also nervous because I haven't ever done any quote-unquote controversial content on this channel before, so I'm a little bit nervous about how this will be received, but I'm gonna talk about it anyways. And also, if you guys want to influence the kinds of videos that I put up on this channel, don't forget to follow me on Instagram as well, because I do post polls and I'm open to suggestions through DMs there. So yes, today we're going to talk about the new UC admissions scandal, and I put scandal in air quotes because the information that people are calling a scandal is actually the result of an audit that was done on the UC system. And now I do believe that this audit is in response to the college admissions scandal that happened, I think it was 2 years ago, where the news broke that multiple individuals had bribed people in order to fake their children's way into top public and private universities. I think schools like UCLA, USC, and probably even UC Berkeley were involved in that scandal. And so in response to that, there has been an audit done on the UC system, specifically looking at 4 schools: UC Berkeley, UCLA, UC San Diego, and UC Santa Barbara. The audit looked at admissions between the years of 2013 and 2019, and within that they claimed that 64 students were inappropriately admitted. The key points of the actual audit here say, our review found that campuses admitted 64 applicants for academic years 2013-2014 through 2018-2019 on the basis of their families' donations to campuses or their connections to campus staff, leadership, and donors. These inappropriate admissions decisions subverted the university's high standards for admissions and denied more qualified applicants educational opportunities. The second point says campus staff falsely designated 22 of these applicants as student-athlete recruits because of donations from or as favors to well-connected families. And then the third point says UC Berkeley specifically inappropriately admitted 42 other applicants who were connected to campus staff and donors. These applicants were less qualified than many others for whom the campus denied admission. In fact, some of these applicants received the lowest possible scores on their applications. So that was another reason why I wanted to do this video, is because this audit reveals a systematic problem specifically in UC Berkeley. UC Berkeley has been the majority perpetrator for the inappropriate admissions that the audit has found, and so as a UC Berkeley student myself, I wanted to address it and talk about it. Here are some of my initial thoughts about it, and they may be a little unpopular. So honestly, I'm not surprised. I am not surprised that there are inappropriate admissions. I am not surprised that people have found backdoor ways of getting in when they otherwise would have been rejected. And I also think that when you take into account the number of people that are accepted and enrolled every year, I think UC Berkeley does something around 14,000 freshmen every year. 64 students across 4 UCs within 6 years is 0.002%. While there is clearly a problem and people are clearly doing things that are not okay, it's not as big of a problem as we thought it would, at least in my opinion. I think that this audit, in response to the original scandal, was a really good way of shining a light on the things that have been going wrong within the system, but I think it also shows that the extent of the problem is not as large as we thought it was, and so that's a little bit of a positive, right? What I am mad about is what I think anybody would be mad about. The UCs tell us that the application process happens in a particular way, and they're lying to us because there are all of these other ways that people are getting into the schools when they're not as qualified as other people who are being rejected. They promote a system of equality and a merit-based admission and all of these kinds of things, and yet there are still cracks in the system that allow these kinds of things to happen, and I think it's completely inappropriate, just like the audit says. So I got to thinking, but why? So in the audit, it broke it up between the 22 students who were admitted as athletes and then the 42 students that were admitted as regular students. And I started thinking the majority of those students were not admitted as athletes. So what was it about them that made them desirable for admission? And when you look at the students who were admitted, almost all of them either had some personal connection to faculty, or they had some personal connection to somebody who would have either made a donation, or they themselves would come into wealth as an adult and then they would theoretically donate as an alumni. So clearly one of the largest factors here has to do with money. In the previous scandal, it was more about individual people who are taking bribes, individual monetary gain, right? But in this situation, they are looking at people who would be possible donors or people whose families would make possible donations. It's not a secret that funding for public education here in the United States has been ripped to shreds. So I started thinking perhaps a justification for this, not making it excusable, but a justification would be if they had wrongfully admitted one student whose parents donated $15 million, they could then use that money to provide better education for the rest of their students. And while that's, like I said, it's not an excuse, so I could see that as a possible explanation. And if that is true, then it just really goes to show how problematic not funding public education is, which is one of the reasons why we all need to vote, so please remember to go and vote. I've lost my train of thought on that one, so I'm going to move on. So now I want to talk specifically about UC Berkeley's involvement in this. Many of these inappropriately admitted applicants were admitted to UC Berkeley because they were connected to donors or potential donors like I was talking about, campus staff, campus managers, managers at other universities, a manager from a local education program, a colleague from a small private college, and a counselor from a local high school. So what really stands out to me is, like I was saying about the application, how they tell us that it happens one way, but they're doing it another for people who are well connected. Aside from admitting so many students inappropriately because of their connections, I also wanted to highlight this specific section of the audit. Finally, UC Berkeley allowed admissions staff to request preferential treatment for relatives and donors by using a process intended to benefit applicants who come from disadvantaged backgrounds. UC Berkeley allows admissions staff to nominate applicants for additional consideration by placing them on a list called the prospect list. The email that UC Berkeley's admissions leadership sent to admissions staff indicate that the prospect list is for applicants who participate in UC Berkeley's outreach programs, which generally assist disadvantaged high school and transfer students in preparing for and applying for college. Staff also placed applicants on the prospect list for inappropriate reasons, including the applicants' connections to donors, staff, and faculty. UC Berkeley admitted several of these applicants while denying admission to similar or better rated students whom staff legitimately had placed on the prospect list because they had participated in a campus outreach program, the very applicants whom the prospect list was supposed to benefit. So I think this section of the audit really gets at the heart of what is not okay about these kinds of things. The prospect list is specifically designed to give underprivileged students a better chance of getting into these schools, and they are manipulating these programs in a way that benefits more privileged people. It puts already underprivileged students at even more of a disadvantage, and it makes me so angry. It is a direct manipulation of the system that is meant to help people, and that's not okay with me. Although the article that I read states that the audit has come out after schools have already been actively working to solve these issues, I would still like to put out a call to action to Cal to investigate this. Is it just one individual bad apple, or is this a systemic problem? I think you guys need to figure it out. Okay, so I think I've about come to the end of what I have to say, but before I wrap up, I want to go over what the audit recommends as solutions for this issue. It says, to protect the fairness and integrity of its admissions processes, the Office of the President should establish system-wide protocols for admissions processes by the fall 2021 admissions cycle that prohibit the following. 1. Giving authority to any one person to make a final admissions decision. 2. Consideration of an applicant's familial or other personal relationships to university staff or faculty in an admissions decision. And 3. Communication between a campus's development office and its admissions office about applicants and prospective applicants. Then it also says, to protect the campus's athletics admissions process from abuse, the Office of the President should require each campus to do the following. 1. Have at least 2 reviewers verify the athletic talent of all prospective student athletes before their admittance. 2. Track student athletes' participation in the sport for which they are recruited. And 3. Review donations to athletic programs to determine whether those donations made before or after an athlete's admission may have influenced the athletic department's decision to request the athletic's admission, or the athlete's admission. In addition, it says that beginning with the fall 2021 admissions cycle, the Office of the President should oversee UC Berkeley's admissions process for at least 3 years. So, it looks like the Office of the President, which is the overarching UC system, is focusing on solutions and specifically holding UC Berkeley to a high standard. I still think that UC Berkeley itself should address these issues, and I'm sure that Chancellor Christ has sent out an email about it. Have I seen it? No. But yeah, I thought I would share my thoughts and feelings about the audit. Just to summarize, I am not surprised that it happened. I am not pleased that there are any, but I am glad that it's not as large of a problem as I thought it would be, and it looks like steps are being taken in the right direction to resolve those issues. While I think it's a little bit unrealistic to expect that every single person is not unproblematic, I am glad that steps are being taken to ensure that the admissions process is as fair and equitable as possible, because that's what this whole channel is about. It's about equitable access to higher education. It's why I encourage going to community college and why I try to help people through the transfer process. So I wanted to address it, to talk about it, and yeah. Please tell me your thoughts, feelings, and opinions in the description below, because I'm still kind of like, how do I really feel about it? And I would be interested in hearing what you guys have to say and having a discussion about it. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye! While filming this video about college admission scandals at UC Berkeley, I just found out that somebody who's accused of being a high-ranking sex cult leader who branded people's skin with their cult leader's initials is apparently enrolled in classes at Cal. So, talk about a scandal. Big yikes. If you want to know more about it, there's a link in the description.